What's good, y'all? We have Qiuyuan here today, who is an absolute beast of a character, sword character who provides some crazy, super duper buffs for the team and has some really cool, neat mechanics within his gameplay and in his kit. Yes, I know you're tired of guys that do absolutely nothing for you and don't actually aim to help you as a new player, as a veteran player, all the above. They're just there to just put a video out and just like, oh, put this video out here, go click this stuff, I can't explain anything. No. Here, we make sure that you understand these characters, hence mastery guides. We're going to go in here, we're going to make sure that you understand completely how to play this character. We're going to understand all the little small mechanics in there that you may have not seen. You're going to understand exactly what weapons you should use, what echoes you should use. You're going to understand if you're a free-to-play player, how you should approach it. You're going to understand if you're a whale or a dolphin, how you should approach it. You're going to understand the complete mastery of Qiuyuan. So let's dive into it. Let's get you going. Let's zoom on in. Hey, but first, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously, especially for these guys. So I love making these guys, but of course I need y'all support, so I appreciate it very much. Be sure to like, subscribe. Thank you. Alright, so just a quick rundown real quick of how you play Qiuyuan. Is that he's very straightforward, character that provides absolutely massive buffs, which we're going to go over on a wide scale, and how they can be incorporated in different ways. To boot, he plays extremely elegantly and methodically, as Qiuyuan is a blind samurai and as such, sees his environment in a different ways, in multitudes of different ways. This presents itself in its unique playstyle and mannerisms, which we'll go over in detail. His two main forms of damage come as heavy attack and echo skill damage. Those are going to be your two key things. So let's just dive right in with the Forte circuit. Forte circuit, as you can see right here down at the bottom, is going to be called your Swordster's Soliloquy. Let's go somewhere a bit more brighter to get out of this gloomy area. Alright, so if you look down there below at the Forte circuit, you'll notice they are three segmented little bar areas there. This is Swordster's Soliloquy, okay? This is its main property, Forte circuit, and it can be built up outside of combat, as you can see there. But it's going to have three different segments in it. And the two that you're going to need to note heavily for this are the 400 and the 600. 600 total, 400 is when that second bar is full. So let's go to that real quick and just show this real quick just so you understand it. Straight off the jump, you'll see this right here. So that takes us directly into Bamboo Shade. When Qiuyuan reaches 400 points of Swordster's Soliloquy, he gains the Bamboo Shade effect, granting all nearby active resonators in the team 30% echo skill damage bonus for 30 seconds. Yes, this is something huge that you should know. Also, all this is saying is that you reach 400 points. You don't need to do anything extra. And you will get this 30% echo skill damage bonus for 30 seconds across your team. So as you see right here, I'm already at 400, right? Because it's 200, 400, 600. Okay, it goes by increments of 200s. I'm already at 400, which means it's already active. I don't need to do anything. Don't need to activate it in some sort of type of way. It's already active, okay? Simply by having 400 there, it's already active. Plain and simple, right? All right, cool. Now, as you just saw there, when he is at 600 or a full bar, he will enter the Inksplash of Mind state for 8 seconds. During this period, your heavy attack will be replaced with Thus Spoke the Blade to save. In short, when your Forte circuit bar is completely full, hold down your normal attack button to perform a special heavy attack. So we'll show you like so. Hold this normal button down, and you'll see it performs that special attack, which consumed all of my Forte circuit. All of my Forte circuit was consumed by doing that. And as you see right here, it's actually performing 3 different heavy attack types when I do that. So you see here, it does this one, it does this one, and it does this one. So it does Thus Spoke the Blade to teach, to save, and to sacrifice. This is considered heavy attack damage. As you also see here, performing these is considered as performing an echo skill. Now this is important to note as well for potential team comps that we'll go over as well, and for activations on things such as this echo set, which we'll go over as well down the line. But simply put, very easy to understand there. You're going to fill up this bar. You fill up your Swordster Soliloquy bar, and then you'll have a period of 8 seconds, which you can see that little bar right there going down. Actually, you can see it going down, which you'll need to use this in that time frame. If you don't, it cancels out. It's gone. Okay, so you have 8 seconds to use that hold on that. So we'll go back into it again just so you can see it real quick. Build this back up. Build this back up one more time, and then we'll go into it. You see that bar going down right there? We'll go ahead and just hold. Okay, holding, and it will go through all those. Remember, those count as doing an echo skill when you're in that, and you're doing that advanced, that enhanced heavy attack, which is what that was right there. Now let's talk about his resonant skill. You'll see right here that his resonant skill is nothing too crazy, too fancy. We'll let you go into the definition here so that way y'all can see it, so we get a visual example of seeing exactly what you're supposed to be seeing in there. But as you see here, his resonant skill to dash forward for a distance, dealing arrow damage, consider as echo skill damage. As you see there, consider as echo skill damage. It's important. If resonant skill is cast upon being attacked by an enemy, Qiuyuan becomes immune to this instance of damage and stagnates nearby enemies, while gaining immunity to interruption during this resonant skill. Switching to other resonators removes the stagnation effect from enemies. But more importantly here is what you'll see down here in Undaunted Wayfarer. So this pretty much is going to be kind of probably what y'all saw in videos where he runs across his bamboos. Runs across bamboo sticks. So you'll see this here, consume stamina, and if it lands, on someone, then it will do arrow damage, which will count as echo skill damage. So we'll show this just real quick. This is going to happen whenever there's no mobs around. So you just hold resonant skill, and you'll do this number right here. And if there's, which is super dope, right? And if there's mobs around that are there when you land, then it will do damage to them as well. This can also be performed in the air. So as you see right there, we're airborne doing it. Moving through the trees and the bushes. Moving through the trees and the bushes. Ah! It's like every area in this game is just perfect for this guy. It's just pure cinema. No, let's just carry on. Now this one is pretty important for y'all to note. This is the Samurai's Dodge. It's not actually called that, I just called it that. But this is a pretty neat one. So let's go over to something that we can fight probably simply. I guess we'll go over this guy. I can teleport straight to it because I think it starts like right on top of that guy. But the Samurai's Dodge is pretty much this dodge mechanic where you have to remember that we discussed how Qiuyuan is a blind samurai, and as such was designed in a very particular type of way by Qiuyuan Games, right? You see this displayed in his unique dodges. He pretty much can auto dodge by sensing the vibrations of the enemy. Let me explain. You'll see this here over under his basic attack in his skill tree. So let's go over here. There's normal attack, excuse me. And you go down here, you see this down here. So, moments after a basic attack or heavy attack, Qiuyuan becomes immune to the next instance of damage he takes and casts dodge counter upon being attacked, dealing arrow damage. So just let me show y'all what this is saying here. So we're going to come over here, we're going to show you how this actually works. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to opt to do a heavy attack, okay? So I'm going to do a heavy attack, and we're just going to sit here, and boom, you see how that I did not dodge right there. You see that was an automatic dodge. We're going to do it again. See, I got my hat there, and wait for this, boom. So he will do that automatically. And so that triggers from basic attack and heavy attack. It's easier to kind of get it to go with heavy attack. But nonetheless, it will do an automatic dodge. And that you can use that indefinitely. So if he comes at me, it's for a moment's time though. So once he throws that hat away, it's a little too late. You have to like see, okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. But nonetheless, that is a very cool mechanic that I want to show y'all that he will do. And how he does that is he's actually looking or sensing the vibrations. That's what he's doing. He's sensing the vibrations around him, which is an extremely neat mechanic to have for a blind samurai, right? Extremely neat mechanic, which I definitely love that they did with this. Absolutely love it. Now we have the liberation, y'all. And this is a very significant part of his kit. While straightforward that it deals damage, which is considered echo skill damage, by the way, more importantly, it provides a massive crit damage buff for the entire team. So as you can read here, let's go over to it. As you can read here, deal arrow damage, targets within range, but this right here is what we're looking at. For every 1% of Qiuyuan's crit rate over 50%, this skill increases the crit damage of all nearby active resonates in the team by 2% for 30 seconds, up to 30%. This means that to maximize this, you ideally want your crit rate at least 65%, or even technically so maybe 66%. Technically, the way it's worded, the buff would start at 51%. Not as sure how technical they are with this, but for every 1% crit rate over 50% would imply 66%, right? So it may actually be that, but either way, just aim for 65, 66. And that will net you that full 30% bonus there on that crit damage. This is super huge. But other than that, the liberation is pretty straightforward. So, I mean, it's just, actually, I'm not going to use it on this guy, but it's pretty straightforward. Boom. Very flashy, very nice looking. And that's that. But you're really looking at that buff that it provides. That's what really gets you there. By the way, you keep seeing it go gray like that, and obviously that's because of how he kind of views the world. How he sees things, you know, he's blind, but of course, you know, he sees the world through different means, right? So I think it's pretty cool how they added that element to it. Really great. But nonetheless, that's the huge thing there, is that you're getting a huge crit damage buff every time you use his liberation. You know what that means, though? Do you know what that means? It's very simple. It means that obviously your liberation is something that is going to be a main part of your kit. You want to be getting your liberation off all the time. Keep that in mind. So we'll kind of run over here and just kind of execute some of the gameplay here with this, just so we can see it. So we kind of go in here. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward in how he operates, and he really buffs other team members very greatly. So you'll see we have that pull 3, hold this right here. That's going to run through that whole thing right there. And then we can outro skill as well. And we can go into Galbrena, which, as you can see there, there's some crazy damage. And there's a reason behind that, which we are about to go over here in a second after we go through these echoes. So here we have Qiuyuan's echo set. So he's going to want a 3-piece of Law of Harmony and a 2-piece of whatever arrow damage echo set that you have that you can use, that you have better pieces for, or whatnot. So this Law of Harmony is great for him because, as you can see, it gives a heavy attack damage bonus to the caster. So he does like heavy attack damage, remember. And additionally, all resonators in the team gain 4% echo skill damage bonus for 30 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Echoes are the same name, can only trigger the effect once. The record of echo triggering this effect is cleared along with its effect. So naturally, not only does this benefit him, but benefits other characters that naturally are going to have synergy with them who like echo skill type stuff as well. Now, in regards to your win piece, you're really just going to use whichever one you have that you have more of for whatever options that you're looking for, your 3s or your 1s or whatever. But Sierra's Gale will work because obviously, as you see here with Sierra's Gale, air damage plus 10%. Same with these down here in regards to Windward Pilgrimage. Air damage plus 10%. So that will work as well as the Ghost of Welkin, also air damage plus 10%. So it kind of just comes down to whichever one you have echoes for, and you can kind of maneuver around with if you have more arrow damage echoes of 3 slots or something like that, which is kind of my case. So I opted to go with these, and that's how it just worked out. So of course, I'm still working to kind of maximize and get particulars for these echoes, but this is what we have right now. But nonetheless, it's going to be a 3 set for Law of Harmony, and then a 2 set for an arrow damage plus 10%. Now, you can also opt to potentially put a 2 set of Moonlit Clouds for the energy regen if you really want to. Ideally speaking, you kind of want maybe around 130-ish or so energy regen to be comfortable with Qiuyuan. So this is definitely an option, and maybe a recommended option depending on how your subsets roll and what weapon you're using. So keep that in mind too. That might be a preferred option for you to use Moonlit Clouds for a 2P set. For your main slot, you will want this Echo here, Fenrico, because you will get arrow damage bonus and heavy attack damage bonus on your character. So this is your best option there. I believe if you opt to use this set, I believe it's when was it Gus? Let's see, whichever one has Feeling. Whichever one has Feeling, you can opt to use. So it looks like it's going to be this one over here. So you could opt to use this one as well, because as you can see, arrow damage and heavy attack is the same exact stats. So if you are opting to use 2 of your arrow units being Sierra Gal, then you could potentially put your forecast, if you're using forecast Felian Nightmare, you could do that instead. Instead of using this one, this could be something else down there on your 3 stats. So that is an option as well, because they do both provide the same arrow and heavy attack damage bonus, as you can see. So that's also an option for you if you're going the Sierra Gal route for your 2 pieces on your arrow damage bonus, assuming you're not using the Moonlit Clouds for energy regen. Okay. And so for your echoes, you will want a 3/3 on the arrow damage. So both of your 3s are arrow damage. And you want a crit rate or crit damage on your 4-piece, your 4-cost slot. Remember, he does want a certain amount of crit rate, so keep that in mind when choosing which one you have, and depending on which weapon you are using. That's always the case. Depends on what weapon you're using. If you're using a crit rate or a crit damage, then you might opt to do the opposite for the 4-cost. You might opt to do that. Then the last 2, your 1s are going to be attack. Now, while we're in this area, let's go ahead and go over to inherent skills, so that way I can show you all this. First and foremost, the Quietude Within is this one right here. So this is going to be an extra little buff that you get for 10 seconds when entering the Inksplash of Mind state. This effect can be triggered once every 22 seconds. Okay? So note that the Inksplash of Mind state is the state that you enter when you have full 600 points on your Soliloquy Sword Master bar. That's the Inksplash of Mind state. And all this is saying right here is that when you do the whole heavy attack, you're going to get a damage boost. And it will additionally restore upon the last hit 30 points of conservative energy. So it's simply just saying this, y'all. So let's just go and just simply show. But you're going to notice here, because we've been out for over 22 seconds, right? So remember, it says 22 seconds. You trigger it once every 22 seconds, right? So obviously we've been out of combat for 22 seconds, unless for some reason us being in the menu freezes time, right? Which I'm pretty sure doesn't. But you'll see here, when we go over here, you're actually going to notice this icon, which you may have saw before, but this is what that is. So we'll go over here, and once we get a full bar, you'll notice it. So now we're in Splash state right now. You see that blue icon right there at the bottom? That is what's happening right there. So that's that buff. Whereas if you see, we'll exit here again, and we'll go back in there. So see it goes away. Remember, it's 8 seconds for Inksplash, and then 10 seconds for that. So as you saw, Inksplash ended, and then shortly after that. As you see now, though, you don't see it again, right? Because we're in Inksplash of Mind state. But you don't see it again because, remember, it can be triggered once every 22 seconds. So that's what you're seeing there, but it will apply that buff. So pretty much if you're spamming him on the field, then you're going to miss out on some of those for sure. However, if you're using him in rotational values, you're pretty much always going to get that extra 50% damage buff on those attacks. Remember, it's impacting all 3 of these right here. Boom, boom, boom. So you're getting that 50% damage increase on those whenever you have that active right there. So that definitely helps for the damage output coming from him. Now the other inherent skill is going to be Drink Away Woes Age Old. And so this one is another damage boost that you'll find. It's when casting an Echo skill, you're going to get a damage boost the next time that soldier's Soliloquy is obtained. So it's real simple. Use an Echo skill. Remember, some of his kit is going to do Echo skill type stuff as well. But we're going to show her just for intents and purposes of you understanding this. So 10% attack increase for 20 seconds when casting Echo skill on the next time Swordster Soliloquy is obtained. Okay, remember, Sorcerer Soliloquy is just the Forte. It's not max. That's the Ink AMI. It's just the Forte in itself. So Sorcerer Soliloquy is just the Forte in itself. So when you're obtaining it, we'll just show right here. So what I'm going to do is just cast an Echo skill. So you see right here, my attack is 2021. We're going to get a 10% increase attack once we get Soliloquy after casting an Echo skill. So let's cast an Echo skill. Boom. Cast an Echo skill. Let's get some Soliloquy. All right, got some Soliloquy right there. And we open it back up. And you'll see we have increased jump right there by 10%. So this is something that you're pretty much always going to have up because of this kit, allowing for things to be considered casting an Echo skill across the board. And while we're talking about that, let's actually discuss that. So let's go over here and let's actually show you where some of that is actually coming into play. So mainly right here, in which, as we saw before, in case you weren't looking, down here, this is considered performing Echo skill. So whenever you're doing Inksplash of mine, at the end, so once you're holding that heavy attack button, this is considered performing Echo skill. So pretty much this is always going to be up, because I mean, either way, you're coming into the fight with an intro skill, and then you're using your Echo skill, or you're using your actual Echo rather. That's going to trigger this. Or you're coming out of this Inksplash state of mind by holding your heavy enhanced heavy attack, and you're going to perform an Echo skill by default by doing that, which will trigger, of course, on your next Sorcerer Soliloquy gathering obtainability, getting this 10% attack increase. So pretty much, real simply put, is that this is pretty much always going to be active for you. Not really much to worry about there. You're pretty much always going to have this attack percentage increase active for you. Now, in regards to skill priority, remember, as I said before, you know, heavy attack and Echo skill damage is kind of the main things for this guy. So those are the main stats that you're looking around. Of course, put some crit rate and all that stuff in there, all that stuff above in there. Those are your main stats that you're really going to be looking for. And the main two skills that you would want to level is Forte Circuit and Liberation. Those are going to be your priorities. And then you go over here to Resident Skill and Normal Attack. Intro skill, of course, has, you know, you want it for damage, but it's definitely, you should level it alongside these two. Whereas Forte Circuit and Liberation are your main two things that you're going to be really capitalizing on and using. Obviously, you want to be spamming its Liberation, and obviously everything runs through its Forte Circuit. So you definitely want to be prioritizing those. By the way, while we were talking about those stats, let's go back and show these real quick, because I didn't before, sorry about that. But as you can see here, these are the type of stats that you want for him. Heavy attack damage bonus, energy regen, attack, you want your crits. Those are really the ones that you want for him to maximize. Once again, as I said, you ideally speaking want around 130-ish or so energy regen to be comfortable while playing him and through his rotations. So do keep that in mind. Now, speaking of intro skills and outro skills, intro skill is very straightforward. Nothing really to talk about here. He does arrow damage. Whoop you freaking do. Okay, cool. That being said, I did mention before that Sorcerer Soliloquy, this is a great way to obtain points very quickly on this guy. Remember, you have 600 total points that you can get from his Forte Circuit Soldiers Soliloquy. But you see down here, 400 points you can get from intro skill. So that really allows for a quicker rotational value. Pretty much come in, you're already triggering the 400 points needed for Bamboo Shade for the 30% Echo skill damage straight right into the intro skill. So intro skill obviously is great for building that bar up very quickly, but the bar builds up quickly regardless anyway. But it's great for just rotating in and really just going right into the motion. But outro skill is what you really want to be looking at. Outro skill, as you can see here, strike before ready. Attack the target, dealing arrow damage equal to 100% of Qiuyuan's attack, considered as Echo skill damage. But grant 50% Echo skill damage amplification to the incoming resonator, lasting for 14 seconds or until the resonator is switched out. Y'all, that is the big boy right there. That is the mother freaking big boy right there. And this is what works beautifully for a lot of the synergies with Qiuyuan, is because naturally he works well with characters who have echo skill type stuff. So you see where we're going with this, and we're almost at the teams after we go to the weapons, and you'll really start to understand just how crazy this all gets, and we'll show you some rotational values within this. And so that brings us to weapons. Now obviously, of course, this goes without saying, but obviously the signature weapon is always going to be the weapon that you would want if you can get it. So you see right here, this is the signature weapon that you would want if you can get the Emerald Sentence. Has a crit rate stat there, it gives attack increase, and it gives some other buffs that you see right here, such as heavy attack, so and so. Obviously, this is what you would want if you can get it. However, we're not here to talk about the obvious, we're here to talk about things that are actually going to help you to understand. That way you can wiggle around and find out whatever you need to find out. So, if you're using another 5-star option, a strong one would actually be the Emerald of Genesis. So this is the standard weapon banner 5-star weapon. This is actually perfect for him because it does also give crit rate, which we know, remember how his skill, the crit rate right there, as you see right here, with the crit rate, you're wanting crit rate. So he wants crit rate. So this sword does apply perfectly for him. And it gives energy regen, which he also wants. And it gives some extra attack percentage, which he also wants. So this sword actually works perfectly for him if you do not have a signature, and if you do not have some other options to work with. Now, of course, as we always say, if you have some other signature swords that you can use, those are always options if if they follow the path of crit rate or crit damage and apply, have attack or energy regen or whatnot. That's always an option, okay? But this right here is a very solid option for him straight out the gate. And this is a standard 5-star weapon, the Emerald of Genesis. Now, in regards to free-to-play options for you here, these are the free-to-play options I would recommend. I would recommend an Endless Collapse. This one right here has a base attack stat, but it also, when casting Resonant Skill, grants 6 Resonance Energy and increases attack by 10%, lasting for 16 seconds. Now this can be good for rotational values, and it can also be good, of course, for this Resonance Energy, because you are trying to spam, his obviously he wants energy. Spam his Liberation will help with rotations as well, and it will also give you some of that attack to maximize some of his damage while he's on field as well. The other option that I would say would be this one down here, the Overture, which specializes on energy regen. So this is an option that you could also use, especially if you just really focus on just having him for rotational values, trying to get him in and get him out as quick as possible. So that way you can just go back to your main character, whoever you're using, and just blast on them. Then this will also be a great option because it really satisfies that energy regen requirement and will allow you for a seamless rotation without Liberation to get them out, get them with the buffs, and then you just proceed with how you're doing. And now we are down to team comps, y'all. Your favorite part. Team comps are going to be pretty highlighted around echo skill stuff. So your first obvious one is actually going to be changing you over here to where you at? To replace. So the reason why this one works is because the whole line benefits each other. So provides a heavy attack buff, which we know this guy likes heavy attack. So you're benefiting from her buff. Yuno's also a great sustain and a great healer and does damage. So now you're getting a heavy attack buff. You're proccing the healing through Yuno, and then you're Xing out from yours into an echo skill damage amplification, outro skill, into Galbrena. Now, the reason why this team works so well in specific, and it's very much highlighted for Qiuyuan, is that it directly benefits Galbrena to a very high degree. Now, that's namely these two. Generally speaking, you could replace this with whoever if you wanted to, but simply saying that these two synergies are very high. And that's because of her After Flame mechanic, which feeds off of this amount of echo skills that are cast. And because his whole kit is casting echo skills, counts as casting echo skills, you're able to fill her bar up tremendously, which gives her an extra damage boost on top of her damage that she's already doing. I believe it's the After Flame. So After Flame down here, you'll see here, this damage increase that she does, that's triggering from all those echo skills that are being cast. And we do have a Galbrena guide, so check that out if you want more details on how she operates, how she plays. That will tell you everything you need to know. It's a mastery guide as well. All my guides are mastery guides that will tell you everything that you need to know. That's why the synergy works so well between them two, and it's actually stupid strong. But nonetheless, we'll go over here and we'll kind of show you. This guy's probably going to die way too quick for me to actually show you with this, but we'll try our best to. So you'll see her bars actually full of it on the top right. That's because we already been kind of playing this. You'll see it's very full right there. So I'm not even going to bother doing a full rotation. I'm just going to go straight into her. You're already going to kind of see how her, oh well, if this guy's coming down from the sky. But you're going to see kind of how it's impacted already very heavily. As you can see there, that HP is dropping, and I wasn't even remotely in full rotation, even remotely so. That wasn't in her liberation or nothing. But it's very massive and significantly damage boost that he provides for her. Extremely significant. We can try to go over to someone who might last a bit longer. Let's see if we can go to someone who lasts a bit longer. Alright, so let's go over to Fenrica. So you're going to be farming this guy anyway for echoes for this guy. So let's go ahead and go into this. So it's going to be the full rotational value you know in here as well. So we'll go in here. This guy still might die too quickly, but we'll see. And then by going through we're going to have an outro right there. That's going to provide the healing as well. And then we're into him. You just kind of go crazy with him. Right? You know, he provides this liberation damage bonus. And then we're going to go into, I feel like I should even go into it. It's going to be overkill. But nonetheless, you can see there how strong and powerful that team works. However, everything dies too quickly. This is going to be one of your premier teams. Like I said, you know, all these mobs are too weak, so we're mowing through them way too quickly. But this is going to be one of your premier teams that you want to be using. Now, another team that you can potentially use here will also fall into this echo skill whole concept, of course, right? And that is going to be a team that incorporates Frolova. So how this one will work with Frolova is going to be like so. So we'll change you out, put Frolova in, we'll replace you, and then we can put this would be either Shorekeeper or Verena, whichever one you have, whichever one you want to use. So more or less interchangeable. So we'll work like this. And so how this one will work is, of course, you know, Verena, Shorekeeper, you know, you're gonna do the things, apply their buffs, but you're going to want to pretty much seamlessly go in between these two. So she provides a heavy attack damage amplification, and remember, he provides echo skill damage. Now, if you're wondering about the echo skill damage, that's going to showcase itself over here within her liberation. So her liberation right here, you'll see everything counts as echo skill damage. Echo skill damage. Everything in her liberation is echo skill damage. When Hecate is acting, it is echo skill damage. Okay, so that is very important for you to note as well. So it allows you to kind of play in a team with these two as well, kind of maximize that rotational value and get her going off field or on field, either or, and get those rotational values really pumping. So we'll go over here and show you this one. It might be better if I go to like an actual boss. It probably will be. But we'll go over here and we'll show you this one. We can actually just build this up. We're at 400 right there, so actually already have a buff going. So ideally speaking, you want to go into a full rotation here, get this going, get the notes going, and then use this here, but it's going to die. So then I will use this and I will out your skill, and then go into you. And then I would run through his numbers, of course, right? He has a heavy attack damage buff going right now. So I run through his numbers and use a liberation while Hecate's still up as she is right now. So now Hekate's going to take advantage of that, while I'm also taking advantage of the heavy attack damage bonus. And you can go back into Prolova and continue that onslaught. Now, of course, I did even use Verena there, so obviously there's a lot of damage that was being missed right there. But that's a general basic concept of how that one's going to work. So we can kind of run this over again, as you can see here. Run this over again. Actually, let's get this here. That way we can at least have it going. And then we're going to use that and go into this. And then we'll bounce over here and go through the motions over here. As you see, the HP was dropping pretty drastically. We'll let this spawn again and try to take advantage of it. Okay. There we go. And use that heavy attack right there. Which, remember, we have that heavy attack buff going right there. So you see that this works. This can most certainly work. It has a great rotational value within it as well. Prolova is already a very strong character, so this really just adds to that mechanic. And so then that may have you wondering, well, is there a secret sauce team? Yes, there's a secret sauce team. There's most certainly a secret sauce team. Let's show you all the secret sauce team right here. So the secret sauce team will incorporate actually no sustain. This is for those of y'all who just want to go crazy with it. No sustain, just straight in, just whatever, okay? You're going to incorporate all these like so. Yes, you're seeing Galbrena, Prolova, and Qiuyuan. That's how you would incorporate this. So this gets pretty nutty, and like I said, there's no sustain here. This is for those of y'all who just want to go hammy hams. You can go hammy hams. And so this will operate pretty much in this manner where it flows through these. So she's giving a heavy attack buff to him. He's giving an echo skill damage buff to her. So you have her doing crazy damage. Also, while you have Hekate going crazy on the field as well. Because remember, he does give echo skill damage bonuses just from having 400% or 400 points rather on his Sorcerer's Soliloquy. Echo skill damage bonus. So either way, Hekate is getting some of that, regardless. While she's not getting this one, she's still getting an echo damage bonus. And then of course, you have to keep in mind that the echo set is also given echo skill damage bonus for all resonators. So this could work as well. This is kind of your crazy build. You're just kind of off the walls, balls to the walls build. But we'll go ahead and show this as well. Alright, let's go in here. Let's say hello to our old lady here. Let's go in here and say what's up. So we'll go in here and show the rotational value here. And this is kind of how this is going to work. So we'll pop in here. We can go ahead and pop. Actually, you know what? We can pop it with oh, well, nah, my outro. That's not good. That's not good at all. Alright, so we can go in here like so. Hopefully she doesn't die too quick. Remember, this is no sustain though, so it can be dangerous. And then go into our liberation here. Go back to Qiuyuan. Need to get his liberation. Yeah, I got hit, it appears. Alright, so we get our liberation here. And all the while this is going on, we have Hekate going on. Now we have a massive buff for Galbrena, while Hekate is going in there and really maximizing on the echo skill damage buff as well. Now, of course, that rotation was not very great. It was not very good. Can we restart this? We can try to run it back again. All right, so we'll go in here and we can start. We can go in here. Technically speaking, I prefer not to get my outro skill though, but try to go in there and get 400 points. There we go. So when we activate the echo skill damage buff, and that's mainly for just when she's in her liberation state, right? But nonetheless, Prolova is a heavy damage dealer regardless, which is nice. Now, generally, if you're playing this team, you want to be actually trying to dodge, right? But for all intents and purposes, we're just showing this right here. So now I'm going to go over here, and now she has that echo skill damage buff going right now. So she's doing damage, as you can see there very clearly. Lots of damage being done. And then at this point, Galbrena comes into the fray. She is now into the fray. And she is going to do it every single day. Fray, fro. And it's an absolute beast. So you have all those kind of synergizing together to really just go crazy on everything in there. But as I said, there is no sustain in there, so it can be dangerous if you need a sustain. I do just also want to further emphasize on how he will build Galbrena's bar, because remember, his stuff that he does is considered as casting an echo skill. It's like you'll see the bar there at the top right, and if we use that, whoops, I should let it go away, my bad. But you see how I just gathered some right there by using an echo skill, and of course, you'll see I use an echo skill. So of course you see her bar going up, echo skill, her bar went up, you see where it's at now. So let's go into this and let's use this and look at it now. Watch it. You see how it went up and max now? So you'll see he directly plays into really maximizing her kit. So they work very well together, and I would definitely recommend using them together. Now, hypothetically speaking, there is another option that you could use potentially, and that is potentially you could opt to do like a full arrow team. However, this is very hypothetical, and I don't think that it would really work better than any of these other teams. But if you could do a team that looks something similar to like this and Qiuyuan. Now, this is fairly strange, but it could potentially work because you are getting this heavy attack bonus on that. That is going over to you. And then you're maximizing from the arrow erosion here that she's doing. So pretty much you would have to change his echo set to the windward pilgrimage. So we can maximize on this here for arrow erosion, increases crit rate by 10%, and grants 30% arrow damage bonus. So you're getting an extra arrow damage bonus. However, that's just hypothetical, and I wouldn't really recommend that. There's no way it works better than these other teams that are more built. But I figured I would throw it out there just in case y'all were interested. You want to know. I figured I would throw it out there. So it's been thrown out there. Okay. I would also like to note as well that obviously another team to use would be with Cantarella. So obviously Cantarella is a character that highly likes echo skill damage type stuff oriented within her kit. So you could easily, which I don't have Cantarella, I intentionally skipped her, but that is easily someone that you could throw into this mix, into this fray with Galbrena, Cantarella, and Qiuyuan over here. Okay, that's easily something that you could do, and I would recommend doing that as well. That's going to be a very strong team as well that you can definitely incorporate. But ultimately, how y'all feel about Qiuyuan there? Yeah, I think he's an absolute beast of a unit. He plays so elegantly. He plays so methodically. It's extremely enjoyable to play. And I mean, yeah, dude, if you really want to just go in here and just play him really different, you can just like go heavy attack spam on him, dude. Honestly speaking, you can just go in here, just heavy attack into oblivion. Just heavy attack into oblivion. You don't have to play him from like a standpoint of building up his stuff and trying to switch out. You can just, oh, heavy attack, heavy attack, heavy attack, heavy attack, heavy attack. Ooh, you see how he bounces back like that, you know, just heavy attack, heavy attack. But if you really wanted to, you could. If you really wanted to go that route, you could easily play him in that regard. And that's why I also said that, you know, that is an option in that theoretical sense, where you could play him in such a team and as a front face, you know, front four type of DPS option that you could do, and it could potentially work. So, but I would have to, you know, completely do that and really try that, and I'm not sure if that will ever happen, quite frankly. So you let me know down in the comments if you decide to do that. But nonetheless, what y'all think about Qiuyuan here? I think he's an extremely great character. Really love his design. They really cooked on this one. Really love his design and everything about this guy. This is a great addition to the cast of Wuthering Waves. See him there. He's feeling the vibrations. Puts his sword on the ground so he can feel the vibrations. That's pretty interesting, right? Pretty cool how he does that. But as you can see there. Nonetheless, y'all, let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know how you feel about the character. Let me know how your pools went. Let me know all the above. And I'm always glad to help whenever I can. Just let me know in the comments. Remember, I have guides for all these other characters. You know, Galbrena. Those are mastery guides. Those will be in the description as well. So be sure to check those out. Also, like on all those. Be sure to like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're always making these mastery guides for these characters. I do appreciate the support very much so. And be sure to tune in to the next videos. I'll see you on the next one. Much love. Holla. Spike content.